listen, they can help you get auto financing for anything. Business for over 32 years. Magic Financing is dedicated to customer satisfaction. If you've got credit issues, they have the answer. No matter what your profile is, they can help. They work with people who have fair, bad, or just terrible credit. Repayment history is why people have no money down. That's right, no money down. They're located at 6285 North Federal Boulevard with a great auto inventory. Give them a call at 303-298-1155. That's Magic Financing. Features Monday in addition. They're open Monday through Friday till 8 and Saturdays till 7. Check them out. That's Magic Financing. Call them today at 303-298-1155. Tell them you heard about it here at KUHS. Then.com. Also visit us at www.magicfinancing.com.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Council. I'm your host, Charlie Pacello. Boy, folks, it's been a long time since we've been together. Almost a month now. It's hard to believe. And are we going through some crazy times together? But I hope everybody is staying safe and doing well and getting ready to vote and doing the things that we all need to do as citizens of this country, as Americans. Whether you're Republican or Democrat, do your civic duty and vote and make your voice count. We are broadcasting here on KUHS TV Radio Denver, the stream. We're broadcasting here in beautiful city of Denver, Colorado, and it's a service here, streaming service. We're ranked 3rd in the nation, and our commitment is to provide all of our listeners with the best programming in the world. From a wide variety of musical genres, live DJ performances, to outstanding talk shows that we have with so many wonderful personalities. We have some of the most talented TV radio hosts, personalities, professionals, and programming you're going to find anywhere on the internet or traditional media. Our reach continues to grow beyond our wildest dreams and imaginations, and we're recognized as one of the leaders, not only in our nation, but around the globe. KUHS's audience continues to grow exponentially, and we're being listened to. Just the council itself is being listened to by countries, over 40 different countries from around the world. And our mission is to provide and bring quality programming that reflects the diversity of our staff, to have honest, grounded, authentic conversations about the many issues which confront our society. KUHS stands as a beacon of hope in a world filled with fear, distrust, and separation. We strive to bring our city, our nation, and our world together by providing a platform where we celebrate our commonalities, our goodness, and our humanity. Well, folks, we have been a part of, here at the Council, one of the most amazing projects I have ever had the privilege and honor to be a part of. It was the Veteran Summit Series, a special series that we have done with the Trauma Sensitive Awareness Foundation. And we're about to launch our Summit Series here in November 4th, 2020 here, right after the election, and it's a service to provide all of our veterans and their loved ones with some of the leading experts around the world regarding PTS, TBI, moral injury, childhood abuse, trauma, and so much more. Behind me is an interview that I had with Daryl Hammond and Michelle Esrick. Michelle Esrick is the director of the film, The Cracked Up, the Daryl Hammond story. And we would like now to present to you and show you this amazing interview, this amazing show with these two incredible people. It was an honor and a privilege to have them on the show, and I think you're going to enjoy it. So let us watch the digital feed now of my interview with Daryl Hammond and Michelle Esrick. Good afternoon, and welcome to the Council. I'm your host, Charlie Pacello, and boy, do we have a fantastic show for you today with some incredible guests. The Council here has partnered up with the Trauma Sensitive Awareness Foundation. We are doing a series, a 10-part special Veteran Summit series to bring attention to a lot of the things that veterans are going through, and to be able to dedicate this series to provide veterans and their loved ones with information, hope, inspiration, and healing. As far as we know, it's a first of its kind summit that we're exploring cutting-edge treatments and alternative therapies for PTS, TBI, moral injury, sleep disturbance, family conflict, emotional trauma, and so much more. We are talking to mental health experts, veterans, and their advocates to provide answers and resources so that we can bring all of our veterans home. We're starting the dialogue. Come on and enjoy the conversation. And to learn more about part 2 that's going to be debuting in November at www.t-saf.org. Now let me introduce to you my very esteemed guests. Darrell Hammond is an American actor, stand-up comedian, and impressionist. He is one of the longest-running cast members on Saturday Night Live and has famously portrayed President Bill Clinton, Ronald Reagan, and George W. Bush, among many others. He is the author of the New York Times bestseller, God, If You're Not Up There, which is a fantastic, fantastic book. I couldn't put it down. I encourage all of you to pick it up when you can. It's a wonderful read, which was just released as an audiobook narrated by Hammond himself. The film Cracked Up, detailing his life and career, was released at the end of last year. And Michelle Esrick. She is an award-winning filmmaker, poet, and social activist. Her most recent film, Cracked Up, The Darrell Hammond Story, had its theatrical premiere in September 2019 and was released on Netflix May 1st, 2020. Cracked Up is Darrell's story. And the reason it's part of this Veteran Summit is because his father was a veteran. And it brings to light in a very deeply personal way how childhood trauma affects us and can lead to lifelong effects. We want our veterans to understand that if they too have experienced any kind of trauma prior to their service, they should not ignore it. And likewise, if they have suffered a mental or emotional injury as a result of their service, this will likely impact their children in ways they need to understand. Through Michelle and Darrell's incredible film, we hope to educate and inspire veterans to understand the impact of trauma on both the child and the adult. And now we'd like to show you a preview of this remarkable film, which is available right now on Netflix.
A psychiatrist, I think it was number 11, said that I was a manic depressive.
You are schizophrenic.
I might be a multiple personality.
9 psychiatric facilities, including lockdown.
Well, I'll just give him these pills.
He goes, well, let's face it, you are a nut. You made me laugh. He's like, I'm joking with you because you're not any of these things. You are this way because of something that happened to you.
You know him, he's the longest running cast member in Saturday Night Live history. Give it up for Darrell Hammond, everybody.
I used to drink absinthe in this enormous bar called Mexico.
He was masterful. He knew what he was doing up there with a clear sort of style and point of view, and it was really funny.
If you would only take your clothes off and let me see you naked, there will be no more racism.
I'm in another ambulance, you know, they're like, there's the guy on TV. I mean, Jesus, don't take any chances with this guy.
You're an alcoholic, you're a drug addict. Oh, and by the way, surprise, surprise, you have trauma.
They looked at my brain once. The left side of my brain was dark. The right side of my brain was Times Square.
He knew some bad stuff happened to him when he was a kid, but only in flashes and bursts.
One time I went to the hospital when I was, I guess, 6 years old. And you know, the doctor came in and he said, you know, Miss Hammond, why is your son bleeding on the inside of his stomach? And my mom said, I don't know. I have no idea. Something's happening in this house. I can't protect myself. You're an adult. Do something.
The worst crime is being expected not to tell.
Namaste.
What does that mean? It's divine in me, so it's divine in you. Do you think there is such a place?
Daryl, could you just share with us about how the project came up and how you guys started out with this, and what was the, what made you guys both decide to put this film together?
Michelle and I have known each other a number of years, and let's say 7 or so years ago, she really sort of sold me on the idea that we could make a film that might help people, because I've had access to these world-class doctors, and the stuff they had to say was revolutionary about trauma, being a trauma patient. I'd also written that book, and then she helped me work on the play, the book of play and movie, and so she knew the project backwards and forwards, and she had quite a vision. I didn't know she was going to be such a great filmmaker. I just thought, I didn't know she had all that talent, to be honest with you. But, I mean, the movie's translated into 5 languages. It's been a big hit on Netflix, and it's all her. She filmed me for 7 years, and I'm pretty glad I did it. And I'm hoping, not me, but some of these doctors that talk in the film.
Daryl is very self-effacing, and obviously it is not all me. It's a team effort. I could not have made this film without Daryl. He's one of the most courageous people I've ever met in my entire life. It was not easy to make this film, and for both of us. Especially for Daryl to put himself out in front of the whole world to see his insides, right? But we knew that it was going to help people. We just had a knowing that it was going to help people. And I would say that the reason that I wanted to make the film was because Daryl had related to me something that his doctor, Dr. Coffey, who's in the film, told him. He told him not to call it that he had a mental illness, but to call it a mental injury. And when I heard mental injury versus mental illness, the shame that I felt as a trauma survivor, as a recovering addict, completely lifted, and I felt this weight of compassion, and I felt this is such important information. I felt that this was urgent. Like, I had to let everybody I know, and I had to let the world know in whatever way that we could, because I had, during being diagnosed for, over and over and over for many, many years, and same with myself and so many people that I knew, and so I think really it's about having the proper, helping people to understand what they have. That's what the film is doing for people.
Daryl, I know your dad was a veteran. Could you just share with us where he served and where?
He was in the Army in Germany and in Korea. He was a lieutenant. Yeah, I feel like his final words were, first of all, my father's death was made me believe in God so much, the things that happened. His final words were, I'm sorry that my anger be more important to me than my children. And he was mad. He was angry all the time. He broke things all the time. few days of his life, we bonded over what it's like to be a soldier. And made me feel like I had a dad my whole life. He was a man, tough man. And so I feel like in my lifetime he was a good soldier, but that's about it. So I was angry more importantly to my children. And we bonded right there at the deathbed. And I spent the last couple of weeks with him talking about his life as a soldier. It became incredibly important to me. Got shot a couple times. He had medals. My sister had some of them, and I had some of them. For valor. But man, if you never, unless you spend a little bit of time talking to an ex-soldier or soldier, particularly someone that you love, you're not going to get it, you know? You're not going to get what these beautiful people go through and how important they are. It's quite an experience, so I don't really need to be about it. So that's what's your own question.
Well, Michelle, when you first, we have a lot of, misdiagnoses, trauma that's not diagnosed. What do you think are some of the warning signs for people who are suffering from trauma? Signs that veterans might be expressing when someone is like fighting his or her demons and may not realize it, and they're trying to be a good parent. They're trying to be a good to their children, but that the experience that they've had, the trauma that they have, and I think when we were talking earlier, you had experienced a little bit of that triggering before we got on air. How can we address the trauma that is preventing us from being the parent that we would want to be?
Well, I just wanted to say my father was a vet. He was in the Navy, although he was not in combat, but I just wanted to acknowledge him as a veteran as well. There's a lot of questions in that question. But what I would say is, first you ask, what are symptoms, and I think I can't speak for a veteran. I can speak as a trauma survivor myself. Knowing that this is biological, and that I was having stress responses, that it wasn't my fault, and the way that I wasn't being, it just wasn't my fault. And so when I was acting out, when I felt that just pain and that intolerable pain that I needed to drink over, and use drugs over, or have sex over, act out over, and then I would just rage over. When I realized that what trauma is, that it's something that trauma is it takes over your body. And Vessel says, I didn't get, he says you can tell your spouse or your family member, your loved one, he says, I didn't just rage at you, my limbic system just raged at you. So at any moment, I have a developmental trauma brain and a body, the way that I'm wired, and I have to do everything I can to know my body, be in touch with sensations, and to calm my system down. I'm constantly working with my nervous system every day to calm it down and to regulate. Like I have to regulate myself. It could be 10 times the course of a meal. For me, a smell, a sound. Somebody could look like a perpetrator. It could, but sometimes it could just happen out of the blue. And knowing that, like I was saying before, it's like knowing what you have. And so I have trained myself. I said that I was telling you that I was at the grocery store before, I came to get on the call. And it just was a day where literally everything was going, like, whatever I tried to make a purchase, it was declined. I tried, it was like technical difficulty. Maybe there's something going on, but like literally it seemed like every action I took was met with a wall. And when I was at the grocery and then I gave them my card, it was declined, even though there's money in my account. It was blocked. So on the way home, I started talking to myself very gently and kindly. I go in and I call up my little girl and I will speak to her and I'll say, listen, I pictured her holding my arm on the way we walk home. And I say, we're okay. And I do think I have these little tricks and tools that I do to calm myself down and calm my system down. Meditation and yoga, connecting, calling Daryl, calling friends, talking, exercising, doing things to make sure that I'm sort of exhausting my nervous system to calm it down. So there's a lot of things that I do, but in terms of the symptoms, I mean, it's just such the biggest, like in the movie, Daryl says, like once he realized that he had trauma, once he knew what he had, it was this, like the biggest moment of his life. And I think that's what it is for all of us. It's such a big moment. And then we all have different ways that we can heal from it. There's not one way. Everybody has to find their own way. There's really great tools to heal it.
I agree with you, Michelle. Yeah, for me, it was meditation, it was yoga, it was being out in nature. Those are the kinds of things that helped me out to overcome the complex PTSD that I had and experienced. But it was like you said, learning that it was trauma, was at the root of the problems, was a big like key. It was a big missing link. And Daryl, how did you feel when you learned that the trauma was at the root of all of the suffering that you experienced, and that the reason everything that had been so painful that it wasn't your fault?
Well, I tell Michelle, I told you, and I think I might have even said it in the movie, but it was the Halloween course of my life when I finally got in front of this doctor who was ahead of his time, who said to me point blank, you act like this because of something that happened to you. It's not an enzyme that didn't get blocked. It's not some bizarre thing you can treat with Prozac. You wake up screaming and cut your wrist because of something that happened to you. And it's interesting to phrase all of the words, something that happened to you. Mental illness is not an airborne virus, or mental injury is not an airborne virus. It has a story, and in that story, you're the only one with no power. This happened to you. And what they have is that, Michelle talked about the limbic system, and the doctor I have right now is the limbic system that happens for what? Michelle Hulk. This guy gets mad and he starts writing shit. And the greatest regret of my life is I didn't know what was wrong with me. And I would get mad. I mean, I have this giant mirror that's so heavy that I threw it in the hall. I broke my arm wall with a baseball bat. I became a minor version of my father, and suddenly the most important thing in the world to me was my anger. And that's all in relationships. And you don't even really understand why. Like, why am I getting so damn mad at this person? You know, they just apologized. They didn't know it's a mistake. Why am I speaking to them like this? And then the shame that comes after. And so it's really good to discuss it and work on it in therapy. And now sometimes it's good. My anger rockets are going to fire. That missile wants to leave me up at the launch pad. And if I can recognize that in advance, I can save myself a lot of problems. Boy, it's just sick, you know. In the beginning of Alcoholics Anonymous, Bill Wilson talks about you take a pause. The strangest thing in time. You're so mad, just can't you take 10 minutes? And literally, in 2 minutes, call Michelle, call somebody, again, the opposite of what I had is connection, that's that, connection with others. Connect with others, and so things that I'm going through, and 5-10 minutes, I can calm down. And just the idea that I can calm down at all is mysterious and spectacular at the same time. Just the idea that I can calm down at all. You know, there were years of waking up screaming. There were, cutting my wrist. Every drug in the whole planet, every drug there was they would give me, I couldn't calm down. I don't know if Michelle can relate or you can relate, but I'm like, I can't calm down. They're giving me everything. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, this is where I got to sleep it well.
In my case, I would do what my dad did, who also couldn't calm down. And I would be following like BP, I had Jack Daniels, whatever. And you have that 3-hour period where you calm down until the Hulk gets there. And I start, you know what I mean? And then I start calling people on the phone, hey, I want to talk to you. Son of a bitch. And then you get to the state where I'm getting so mad at someone that you have to apologize to. Because I helped out, right, Michelle?
Totally. And we have to give credit that the Hulk is from our friend Dr. Jacob Ham, H.A. Is a brilliant trauma doctor. And he has this whole video, Hulk, if you go to his website, you'll see how he explains how we get triggered and we turn into the Hulk, and how little Green Banner, as a boy, that his dad was an alcoholic, and he witnessed his father killing his mother in front of him. So it's severe trauma.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he talks about how, like, once I understand that, as soon as, like, it's, like Daryl said, it's miraculous. I can say, I have the language now to say I'm triggered. And I have the awareness now, most of the time, to say, I don't want to pollute my friendship. I don't want to pollute my family. I don't want to pollute my ecosystem, whoever I'm in my bubble with, right? And so I grow up, and sometimes I need to leave the house, go for a walk for a couple of hours, calm down, then I can come back and I can have a discussion. What I used to do was feel triggered and immediately it was fight or flight, immediately in fight. And so I would think it was whoever was in front of me, whoever was around, like, and I was always looking for whose fault it was that was making me feel like this. And I was trying to attack. That wasn't me. No, that was my adaptive child. That was that little child who had to adapt. And she had to adapt for good reason, right? Which is why I addressed her a lot. So just having the awareness of I'm triggered, right? Like, if I feel anxiety, I don't think of it as just sort of anxiety anymore. I think feeling anxiety, and then I'm thinking, am I triggered? What's happening? It's not just like identify sort of on the top layer of that our system goes, anxiety, here's a pill, depression, here's a pill, you know, and there is a place for medication, but there's also so many healing modalities that literally rewire the brain, right? That rewire the brain and the body that, you know, I mean, Dale and I have tested quite a lot of them as trauma survivors, and they really work. I mean, there's nothing like, you know, we could go to a 12-step meeting and go to coffee with our friends and, you know, we used to go to the coffee shop and sit there for a couple hours. The girl would say, you know, I'm going to be symptom free for like the next 2 hours. Because we were together and we were in connection. Connection is the opposite of trauma. Connection is the opposite of addiction. Connection is the opposite of suicide. You know, the power of connection and love. And it's really about relationships, developing relationships with people who understand. You know, it's like my partner, you know, the people who are close to me understand that I'm a self-describer, and they understand me, that I can say, excuse me, I'm feeling really triggered right now, I'm going to go in the other room, or I'm going to go for a walk. They understand that, you know, that they understand what I have. That's really important that your loved ones and your friends understand that, so they can be supportive too.
Absolutely, and I agree. And there, when we were talking about, well, I used to drink Johnny Walker Red. That was what I had. That was my butt. That was the way I wanted to feel good. Whenever I was not feeling happy and moving that way, and it was, you know, it was just because I didn't have the tools. I didn't have the way to be able to understand that whole mind, body, soul connection. I didn't have the awareness for it. And veterans often blame, and then you do something, and then you're on the phone with somebody, or you do something, and then you wake up the next morning, you're like, oh my God, what did I just do? God, and then you got that on top of the stuff that you did, so you just compound it, and it becomes this big Gordian knot. And veterans, you know, all of us here have survived trauma. Veterans often blame themselves for not being able to push through the trauma that they survived on their own. They resist the treatment. And there's a lot of self-blame and shame in asking for help. Gosh, I'd like to ask both of you, is there any advice or encouragement each of you can give to veterans about why understanding trauma is so important, how it works in the mind and body, and how it not only affects them, but also the family and generations after?
Michelle, you go first.
Well, the first, you know, something Bessel Vanderpump says in his film, he says that victims spend their whole life trying to make amends for the perpetrator.
That's a huge statement. Yeah.
Carol talks about in the movie, and I have experienced it, you know, in my own life as a trauma survivor. Like he said, well, we're going to read, but you know, thinking that I did things to myself, you know, like, and just basically having like my baseline is it's my fault. Like living life, my baseline is whatever's happening. Before I even walk in the room, I'm going to walk in this room, and whatever might happen is going to be my fault.
Yeah.
Over and over and over, like that was just a belief. So that is a very normal and common thing that, and also in our culture, and especially I would say with men that are not supported in coming forward and telling the truth and being sensitive and having feelings and going through something, because men are supposed to be fixers, right?
That's right.
Men are supposed to fix everything. They're not supposed to have a problem. And that's just not the case, you know? And so, I mean, do you want to say something about that?
Yeah, I think, the first time I went into rehab, been in rehab a couple of times. First time was sort of for cocaine and drinking, but while I was there, this was Hazleton in Minnesota, they didn't want to take me. They wanted to send me to a trauma unit, which I eventually went to in Arizona. I should have gone to the trauma unit. But one of the things the psychologists at Hazleton said to me was, the key for you to stay alive, the most important thing is going to be your ability, your willingness to ask for help. And I think that's why I lived. I don't know how to live with that shit. This guy handed me my eye. He's like, you can't fix an injured brain with an injured brain. You understand? You need help. Your injured brain needs outside help. In the moment.
Yeah, that's brilliant. It's like saying, it's the only thing where the patient wants to operate on themselves.
Yeah. Yes.
Evil, and we think we're supposed to be the surgeon as well.
It's true.
Well, that's kind of where did that come from?
I must have heard it. Never again.
Really?
But I take credit for it.
Really? Yeah, I'm wondering when the patient wants to operate on themselves.
Yeah.
It's true.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and it's so important, I think, in learning how to be able to break down this stigma and to break down those barriers that prevent people from getting the help that they need. And I think one of the things that's so wonderful about your film, Cracked Up, is it helps you to give the, like you said, opens up. For men, we don't tend to, we tend, like you said, to be fixer-uppers, and we can't go, well, wow, no, we're human beings too. And I think it's such an amazing film. So how do we start to begin to break down this barriers of stigma and the shame that's connected to these early childhood traumas?
I gotta say that when Michelle approached me about the idea of helping people, and I do love that idea, and made me feel somehow that I could make up for the times in my life when I ruined things, ruined family outings, I ruined dinners, I ruined get-togethers, I ruined relationships. I was just too mad. And so helping someone, was nice. But I think too, I really wanted to catch bad guys with this fucking film. I wanted the world to understand that when we act like this, we don't want to. We don't even know what's wrong. Someone turned me into, it's like the Frankenstein monster. They're chasing the Frankenstein monster with a torch, and the Frankenstein monster's literally like, you know what? I was in 8 different graves last night, right? And some guy sewed me together and electrocuted me, and now I'm Frankenstein, and you're chasing me with a torch? Every time I see a drug arrested on TV, I would say, wait. There's one more person we need to put in the squad car, and that's his Dr. Frankenstein. Who did this? Who created it? I think Michelle Winfrey say something about, now I don't ask what's wrong, I ask what happened. Is you familiar with that quote?
She was actually quoting the study.
Yeah.
From what's wrong with you to what happened to you. That's the most, the most important thing she had ever heard. And which for her, she did a 60 Minutes piece and interviewed Dr. Bush Perry. She said it was the most important show she had ever done.
I mean, the human heart is so mysterious. And for my father to explain what it was like to be in war as a part of his making amends and part of the earth was a miracle. way I felt like I've had a dad my whole life. Because I grew up to be the same angry kid guy, you know? I ruined stuff too, but it was great to find out why, as the show says. Not trying to operate on myself. I can't do it. My brain cannot fix an injured brain. And you know, I heard something in New Orleans once, the issues with the tissues. They were living there. All this, like the show, the trauma stores. And it wants to express itself sometimes. You know, right?
Yeah. And I think, you know, we need to look at our systems and generational trauma, right?
Yes.
So,
Yes.
it's generational, and it goes back, you know, hundreds and probably hundreds of thousands of years. But, yeah, I want to hold my perpetrators accountable, and at the same time, only doing that isn't going to fix the problem. It's not going to fix the cycle. The great cycle is this generation understanding trauma, understanding, you know, when I understand and when we understand why somebody else did something to me, it's not to excuse it, it's not to exonerate, but to understand and have like that much compassion for what they went through, that it happened. To ask questions, what happened to them, right? It's like when I see the school shootings, and I see a kid who goes in and shoots up a school, my first question, I'm sitting there in front of the TV and I'm like, I want to know about that kid's household. I want to know about that kid's parents. I wonder if that kid was abused. I would bet $1 million on it if I had it.
Yep.
And it's not about that. It's just that kid is the bad guy. And yes, he did something heinous and horrible, but it keeps happening and happening and happening, right? And it's increasing, getting more and more and more. But it's like, when I understand, it's the first time I realized, like Bessel says this brilliant line in the movie. He says, when I said, do I have to forgive my perpetrators? And he said, no. We need to forgive ourselves for all the ways we tried to survive. I need to forgive myself for all the ways I tried to survive. And a lot of the ways I tried to survive was not nice. The ways that I acted out on others was not cool. But I can look at that and say, I was in fight or flight. I was in fight or flight freeze. And then I think, well, so was my perpetrators. They were in that. They were doing what they taught. They were acting out in their own way. And as I said, it's not to forget, but to understand. And then I realized that it wasn't personal. That hurt people. It wasn't personal to me. As somebody very, very, very wounded did things to me.
It's true. People that hurt people. Go ahead, Daryl.
Yeah, in the case of my father, the last year of his life, I was celebrating my friend Eddie, who's a cop and pretty high in national security country. Ex-cop, except yet. I was making that photo with me. He would tell my father, how do you understand, what marvelous thing he done on earth? He was a soldier. That's easy that way. It's really nice to serve for being a little bit. Like, they're conscript soldiers, you know, it's a crazy process, but it takes time. The cops, the little cop talked to the old soldier, the young cop talked to the old soldier. Beautiful thing. But my father didn't get that way by accident. I did not. Right? I did in the shell. You know, someone really had to come along and help us, and then we eventually, the biggest thing, the next biggest thing was how do I forgive the perpetrator? How do I forgive this person that made me this way? And that's another webinar. It's doable, but I mean, the first thing is that, you know, remind you that forgiveness isn't for you, it's for them. I mean, it's not for them, it's for you. So we really just want to cut them loose, you know, instead of thinking about them at 4 o'clock in the morning when I wake up every fucking night. The minute I wake up, a conversation will start. What am I going to say? What should I say? What am I going to do? And the whole notion that if I can kill someone that hurt me, that will then eventually it's just okay. You know? That's a story I would like to tell one time. I need doctors, I need brain doctors, I need spiritual, I need to show mind, body, spirit.
Yeah.
I was sick all over. All of me was sick. But the guy convinced me to keep asking for help, and eventually you might get it.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, there's a funny answer. I love that Bessel van der Kolk. He said, no one answer. Everybody has to discover what the answer is for themselves. You know, there's yoga might work for one person, it might not work for another person. EMDR might work for one person, somatic therapy might work for one person might need medication, another person might not need medication. But the thing is, there is a lot of help and a lot of resources. On our website, we have a lot of resources, crackdupmovie.com. We have a lot of resources, and knowledge is power. Knowledge is really power, really understanding it. I mean, every time I just went to an international trauma, Bessel's International Trauma Conference a few months ago, and I was weeping, and I've been studying this for like 10 years, you know, and I was weeping at this one doctor talking about the brain and what it does, because every time I learn about it, especially the biology of it and how my brain works and what sets me off, it continually reminds me that it's not my fault and that it wasn't my fault and that it lives with me. So, you know, like Read the Body Keeps the Scores. That's an amazing book, and there's a lot of resources, a lot of help, luckily. Where when Daryl was trying to figure this out, and I was trying to figure this out many years ago, you know, there's so much misdiagnosis, and it's not as much anymore. There's still some, but it's not as much. There's a lot of people who are becoming trauma informed, and there is, and we can recover from it. That is the good news. Mm-hmm. That is the good news. Even if it's painful, I would say, you know, just hold on, keep taking the next step, keep doing the next right thing, you know, and sort of trust that the healing, your healing process will reveal itself. You know, I had this woman, she wrote in yesterday, I don't know if I sent it to you, Daryl, but I found it really funny, but she says, I know my husband watched your film. He won't admit it, but he's being much nicer to me. She's like, thank you so much. He won't admit it, she kept saying, but he watched it because he's now listening to me, and he's now sort of acknowledging things, and he's communicating it, but he won't admit he watched it. She's like, but I know he watched it. I mean, we've had people tell us that probably 6 different people have specifically wrote in to say, I decided not to commit suicide after watching the movie or after seeing us on Dr. Oz or in an interview. I mean, and then a lot of people, you know, just write and say the movie helped me believe that I wasn't born broken.
That's one of the biggest messages I think everybody can get is that I can see why it has kept this movie, Cracked Up, has kept people from committing suicide, from doing those extreme things to giving them hope. It is the hope and inspiration that people who are broken need. I can't express my admiration for both of you for what you have done and what you have accomplished with this film. Could you briefly share, because we're at the close of the show, just the website and what you have next coming up, and how people can watch the film, and where to go?
Sure. So our website is crackedupmovie.com, and the best way to find out what we're doing, what's coming up, we have a lot of really amazing events coming up, and we started a series called The Evolving Conversation, where we have experts come on and talk with us about all different aspects of trauma. But if you would sign up, we'll send you out emails of news and updates of where we're speaking and what kind of cool things we're doing. And there's a lot of resources on the website as well that can hopefully be helpful.
What I always ask before I close the show out, my guests, if you could give, each of you could give one piece of advice, one bit of wisdom from your life experience, what would it be?
I don't know.
I think you said it, Daryl.
What?
Ask for help.
Maybe that's it. That's what all the doctors tell me. They're like, I don't know what you got in your head. Someone told me to ask for help. Even my father was saying it as a soldier when he would be in a situation. Every day he tried to learn something new. And I'm still learning new things. But it always gets back down to asking for help. But also, I think people can see the movie and think that, well, I'm cured. I don't, little birds flying in the morning and do my laundry for me, like a Disney movie and shit. Yeah. But I still have to work with this stuff. Right, Michelle?
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, I don't wake up screaming anymore. I don't cut myself anymore. I mean, there's a lot of things I don't do anymore. But I'm still not quite right. I still need help. And just not as much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I used to every time I do the exercises, I try to reach out to you every morning. I take Epsom salt baths. I do meetings online. I call for people that have a similar condition that we connect with one another. And a lot of days, I mean, I don't know how you feel about this, Michelle, but there are days that are pretty good. No?
Yeah. I mean, I like to talk about what I have to do to regulate. To regulate myself. I wake up in the morning and I don't feel so regulated when I wake up. I wake up, I meditate, I go for a walk. Sometimes, like, after walking 6 miles in the morning, like, I just, like, I need that. I need to exercise. I need to eat healthy. I don't always eat healthy, but, I know that when I do eat healthy, I exercise, I do meditation, I get my exercising, I also do Zoom meetings, and I connect with others that are like-minded, and I do our social businesses, and I would say, really connection, love and connection, and is the key. It's the thing. Relationships. It's really, to me, I would say that is the key. That is the answer. Love and connection. Go where it's warm. Put your hand on your heart and just. I mean, sometimes I can just still and beat myself up. I'll be like, what are you beating yourself up for? What's going on? It's just like a natural baseline. And as I said, I can return to it at any minute.
right. And it is, it's a natural baseline that we have.
It's so good. You better give yourself a hug.
That's
Now
right.
be kind to Be kind to yourself. Be loving to yourself.
Yes.
That's the practice. Love and kindness.
Amen to that. Amen to that. Well, thank you both very much for spending this hour with us and with me. It's been an honor and a privilege. And folks, thank you for tuning into the council. I thank KUHS for all your support, and thank you, Henry, for all that you do back here. Folks, the council is adjourned. We will be back next week with another fantastic guest. Tune in next Friday. May you all be well. May you all be free of pain and suffering. And may you all be whole. God bless everyone. Well, folks, I hope you enjoyed that interview with Daryl Hammond and Michelle Esrick. Please go and check out their movie Cracked Up at crackedupmovie.com. You're going to love it. It's such an important film. And what she's talking about, what Michelle's talking about right there, I think really sums up what this Veteran Summit series here on the council is all about. It's about learning from one another and healing and connecting to what's true in all of us. That, you know, that what going towards what's warm, going towards that which brings love and connection, and recognizing that those that have suffered from trauma, that to give them the sense of that there's support and help out there and resources and people who really care that can help them along the way, to give them the encouragement that they need to be able to get through the things that they need to get through, and to come back to that sense of love and connection, that sense that we're all part of a global community and our human community. You know, that in spite of our differences, there's a lot more that we have in common than we often acknowledge. I just want to thank all of you for tuning in to the council and listening to every week and tuning in and hearing what we have to say here on this show. It's just been an honor to be your host these 3 years. We're concluding next week the third season of the council, and it's been an incredible journey. And I'm so glad that you shared this journey with me as we've talked with incredible people, people who've overcome immense traumas, and doctors, and artists, and poets, and healers of all kinds, and just people who are reaching out and trying to make a difference in this world. And it's because of you that we exist. It's because of your tuning in every week to this show, or every other week to the show, that enables us to continue to bring you the best content and the best quality shows that we can do and we can produce here on the council. I want to thank everybody who's been a part of the Veteran Summit series here on the council, starting with Kevin Seitz, Dr. Eduardo Duran, Lane Lamoureux, Nancy DeSantis, Rick Iannucci, Dr. Edward Tick, Dwayne France, Andrew Marr, Daryl Hammond and Michelle Esrick, Scott Mann, and Dr. Bessel Vanderkolk. It has been an incredible, incredible series, and we are going to be launching it again on November 4th, 2020, on the Trauma Sensitive Awareness Foundation's website. Again, that's www.t-saf.org. Again, that's t-saf.org. Folks, it is time to close out the end for the show for this week. We're going to be back next week. We've got a very special guest. I can't wait to introduce you to him, and I think it's going to bring to us what's really important, and a perspective on our culture and our history. He's a World War II veteran, and I think you don't want to miss this. So, folks, thank you so much for tuning into the council this week. The council is adjourned. May you all be well. May you all be free of pain and suffering. May you all be whole. God bless. Take care, folks, and vote. Go out and vote.